What's going on? We are live on Facebook. It's the Hangout Live with Robbie and Drake. Who else do we have in here, Robbie?
I don't know. Who do we have?
We've got all kinds of people lining up in here. Let's see who we got in the room here. All right, so I don't see any wheels. So we are doing the special edition tonight on the Hangout Live, and we've got some guests waiting in the lobby. Let's see who we have. We've got, who's this here? Who's this right here? Let's see if they come in and join us. That's Miss Morgan Miles sitting up there. She's live in the studio here with us.
I want to get this, but I also want to get this.
Where do I look? All right, so it's special edition tonight. Obviously, we've got Dokken on the show with us tonight. He's a legendary rocker, and he's sure to be a great time. We're going to have a live performance by Morgan Miles coming up later in the show. And
Yeah.
You ready to get after it, or
yeah, we should bring Don in and let's talk to Don. And just, everybody knows who Don Dokken is, right? So you better. If you don't, you will.
Right, here he comes.
There he is.
Don, what's going on, brother?
How you doing, Robbie?
How you doing, Don?
Good.
Cool.
So we are live on the Hangout Live here on Facebook via Zoom for the special edition, pilot edition of the Hangout Live.
Yeah. You're in New Mexico now, correct?
Yeah, I'm in New Mexico. I go back and forth. I still have the house in Benedict Canyon, but I've grown to love it more up here, secluded, less traffic, less people, yada yada.
And you have your studio there too, right?
Yeah, I have like a little mini Pro Tools rig in the Beverly Hills house, and then this room is like I got the iMac and all that, and all my toys, my keyboards. The problem is, because of my hands still paralyzed, I can't really work. It's hard to work because I can't work the goddamn keyboard. So I have to hire somebody to come do it for me, which sucks. I like to work alone. But what can I do? Unfortunately, I'm right-handed, and that's the hand that's fucked, as you can see. This is as much as it moves. And my left hand, so you have to learn how to wipe your butt and fork, and you have to become a lefty. It's a little daunting.
How did you injure your hand there?
I had some weird symptoms going on. Like riding my Harley, I was having a hard time pulling the clutch in, and then when the throttle, my hand felt weak, and I'd pick up a glass and I'd drop it, and my guitar pick on stage, and it seemed like the stringers were getting thicker and thicker, and I had a hard time pushing the frets, and so I had an MRI, and they said your spinal cord is completely crushed. I went, oh, that's fucking great. But and they said, do you have an accident? Nope. Did you fall down? Nope. Did you fall off your Harley? Nope. We don't know why. So I had to have surgery, and went to the best guy supposedly in Cedars-Sinai, and I came out of surgery and both my arms were paralyzed. So, oh well. This one's back. I can move it. It's weak. This one, not so much. So they said give it a year, and it's been 7 months, and we'll see how it goes. And if it doesn't come back, I played guitar for 50 years, and I just have to accept it. I have to accept surgeries don't always. They call them practicing physicians for a reason, because they're fucking practicing. But I'm dealing with it. My chick takes care of me. It's just weird things. You want to eat a piece of chicken or a steak, you can't cut it. I have to have her do it. I'm like a baby, Put my socks on, button up my shirt, can't button my pants. It sucks. So when I go on tour now, I take an assistant, and they babysit me.
Yeah. I suppose there's other things you can't do either with your right hand, which we won't mention on Zoom. But
yeah, it's kind of like your left hand. You feel like you're cheating.
Right.
I can't do anything with my left hand. I hit myself too much.
Doesn't feel the same, no?
Right?
Yeah, no kidding. So you do have a tour coming up this fall.
We hope.
Yeah.
I have 2 shows in 3 weeks with Lynch Mob. One's Virginia, next night's Arkansas. You know, nobody knows what's going on. I mean, I lost 30 shows this summer. 2 shows are back on, that's it. John Levin, my guitar player, he didn't want to do it. He's like, dude, I just don't want to. How many flights? I go, we got 2 connections each day. It's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 flights in the weekend. He goes, I don't want to catch COVID. Plus, his father is 90 and he's the caregiver. So he goes, if I give my dad COVID, it's over. So John's not doing it. Having Reb Beach fill in, next Dokken member.
Oh, that's cool.
Reb's no slouch.
Nope.
So Reb's like, yeah, I'll do it, man. I'm in Pittsburgh. It's a 1-hour flight. So Reb's going to come in, and George is actually doing it, which I was surprised, but he's driving to the gig. And I'm like, you're driving to Virginia? That's a long drive. And the next day we play Arkansas, and I checked it. I was thinking about driving to Arkansas. It's a 9-hour drive. So George will be 2 days to Virginia, leave right after the show, another 9 hours to Arkansas. It's going to be a bitch for those guys in a motorhome.
Wow.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
That's the shit we did when we were 25 in a van. You know, I did my first tour in 79 in Germany, and we were driving. Juan Crucier was the bass player. We were just driving around in a van, and we kind of made a little space, and we'd sleep on top of the Marshall cabinets, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, we were like in our 20s. It was like exciting and new and fresh, and we're in Germany and we're playing clubs, and you know, it was exciting. But you know, when you get in your 60s, man, I ain't sticking me in no van. You know, not gonna happen.
Right. Wow. That's crazy.
You gonna do that? You want to take a ride in the van across the country there, Robert?
I'm not into van rides either. If you have to do it, you have to do it, but I don't like doing it.
I mean, you do it sometimes. You know, those casinos, Robbie. Like classic example is you fly into Salt Lake City, and you play that really beautiful casino across the Salt Lake Flats. It's about an hour and a half. So you fly into Salt Lake and you get in the van and you drive an hour and a half and you get to the gig and, you know, and go to the hotel. I mean, there's a lot of those Indian reservation casinos, you know, they're in the middle of nowhere. You have no choice but to drive a van.
Yep.
And I don't mind those. Hour and a half, 2 hours max. You stop for a pee and then, you know, you take your little ice chest and your tea and stuff. But I don't, you know, I can't imagine Lynch driving from California to Virginia to Arkansas. I mean, God bless him. I talked to him today and he said, yeah, it's going to be a bitch. But, you know, you do what you have to do when you have a family and kids and bills to pay and house payments. And, you know, we got to live. I mean, every band I know every band out there, and they're all on hold till next year. It's all 2021.
Yep. And all the dates are starting to disappear as we see they slowly keep, you know, extending further and further. Right now we've got dates in August, but I mean Jack's going,
yeah,
it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I go, I know, it probably won't, but you know.
Yeah, when they call you and they go, yeah, we got a gig and it's gonna be in August. Well, I go, look, I'm not booking any flights. I ain't booking shit because it's a waste of time and money. And I'm not gonna eat it on $1,000 in plane flights if you guys cancel a week before. Now today, they just announced, you know, on the news that because the COVID has spiked incredibly everywhere, and they're gonna shut the states back down. So what am I gonna do? You know, and that's people's fault. When you see people on Memorial Day, thousands of people in the ocean, and thousands of people laying on the beach with no mask, and tens of thousands of people marching about George Floyd, yeah, the COVID's gonna go up.
Right.
Stay home. I've been home literally. I don't worry about catching it because I live in the middle of nowhere, but I've been home for 2 months. We go once a week, do our shopping, wear my mask, put my gloves on, got my disinfectant, you know, going to Trader Joe's, get my shit and go home. But these people marching with no masks and all that, what they think was going to happen. 5,000 people yesterday in New York alone, 5,000 checked into a hospital. It's a weird world. It's a weird time. It's a weird, the whole world's gone to hell in a handbasket.
Absolutely. Texas kind of raced to try to get back open, and now they're regretting it. And they're turning around and shutting things back down again. So
Yeah.
The world's changed. I don't know. I don't know if the world's ever going to be back to normal. Who knows? You know,
Yeah.
we don't know. You know,
No, we don't. We don't know.
we don't know. Fauci was right. He said it's going to go down and then it's going to spike again. And you know, I look at the stats. I'm lucky in New Mexico. We only have 2 million population, and we've literally had 25 deaths, 25 in the whole state. 10,000 people caught it. The biggest outbreak is in the Navajo Nation. The Indians don't believe it. They just burn sage, and there's a huge outbreak in the Navajo Nation. But in the state of New Mexico, we've had 25 deaths. That's nothing. Nothing.
yeah,
And the whole state's shut down. You know, you can't go to a restaurant, you can't go to the store. And I'm like, really? For 25 deaths? More people die in a effing car crashes than that.
right. Yeah, absolutely. We've only had one death in the town that I live in, but our cases have spiked up almost 400% in the last week. So I'm glad to see the death numbers are low, but I think we're in for another big round of it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to wonder, why did it spike in the last week? Why?
Right.
You know, why did what's going on out there? So I just stay home, work at my house, do gardening, play with my dogs. And this really I guess the good thing is, when you're in lockdown and you got a recording studio, I'm just writing music every day, you know? Music.
Feeling inspired?
The bitch is, obviously, because I'm the main writer, because my right arm is paralyzed. It's better now. I can at least lift it up and down. I mean, 6 months ago, I couldn't even lift it. But so I got John writes, you know, I actually get on Zoom with him or you know, on Google Time and just hum a melody to him and say, hey, I got this riff idea. And he lays it down, he sends it to me, and I write lyrics and got my microphone sitting here. I can still sing. So got to look at the upside.
Right.
How's Jack?
He's doing pretty good. We did our first performance yesterday. One of the Monsters of Rock.
Wow.
Well, it was their Monsters of Rock. What do you call it? That streaming thing over at Third Encore. So we did the whole social distancing. I made sure everybody had masks and kept away from them. You know, and I kept them kind of at a distance. And then on stage, we did it with Terry Alous.
Crazy.
Okay. Yeah, I produced his first record.
Ah.
Wow. Wow.
Actually, I got him his first record deal.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, there was a store in Redondo Beach, Music Works, and they had a rehearsal room that we used to work at. And Enigma Records came to me and said, we got this band, it's called XYZ. They're French, they're from France. Could you help them out? And I said, I'll try. So I took them in the studio and worked with them for about 3 weeks, rearranged their songs, trying to tighten them up. The songs were kind of messy and, you know, they just weren't structured well. And then I took the demos with Michael Wagner, I did it with, and got him a deal on Enigma Records, and that was the end of that.
Well, he owes you.
He owes me big time.
Yes, he owes you big time.
Owes it all to Don Dokken. So what year was that, Don?
Wow. XYZ. I don't know. It was probably about 91. I was making the Don Dokken Up from the Ashes record on Geffen. But I didn't work for 2 years because I was in this massive lawsuit, you know, because the ex-Dokken members, Lynch, Pilson, and George, didn't want me to use the name Dokken. And I said, well, if you want to sue somebody, sue my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and his great-grandfather. It's my name. I own it. And Dokken was around 10 years for you guys joined the band. But we had a contract that it was equal. You know, everybody got equal shares. And they took me to court and took my name away from me. So I went, oh, that sucks. So Geffen was, like, now what do we do? So I had to put the album Out from the Ashes as Don Dokken, which I don't believe anybody should ever put an album with their surname, because people just see it as a, I don't know, like a side project or something like that. It's Van Halen's Van Halen, not Eddie Van Halen. Winger's Winger, not Kip Winger.
Right.
Right.
Slaughter's Slaughter, not Mark
Right.
Slaughter, you know? And I told the judge, he was like 90. I said, dude, if you make me put this record out as Don Dokken, it's going to kill me. It's going to kill my career, going to kill my record sales. We still did, you know, it went gold, but we were just coming off a double platinum album, but it really fucked me up. So that's when I took a step back. And I remember I started, I'll go produce some bands. So I did XYZ and a band called Shy and some other stuff, but that was a real big blow to my career, not to be able to use my own birth name. It sucked pretty bad.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. Did you do something with Pennywise too? Did you produce them?
Yeah, I did Pennywise. Those guys were crazy.
Huh.
I mean, well, I built the recording studio, the one that I ended up selling Jack, and Pennywise would go in there, and they had, like, you know, they're really low budget. They were on Epitaph, so, and I'd be on tour, and I'd say to Pennywise, "You're a punk band. You guys probably do it in one take." And so they just went to my rehearsal room, set up microphones, and basically did the album live. And yeah, it worked out for me. I said, you know what? My rent's $12.50 a month. The electric bill's $1,000 a month. Got to pay my engineer. Give me $5,000 and you can use my whole recording studio for a month. Just do me a favor and don't destroy it. You know, because Fletcher, if you know Fletcher and Pennywise, he's different. He used to come in with these big open sores on his arm and he couldn't play guitar, and these huge burn marks, like 3rd degree. And I go, what the hell happened, Fletcher? And he go, well, a guy bet me whoever could light a book of matches on their arm, and the person that lasted the longest had to pay the bar tab. And Fletcher would always win. So I said, so you didn't have to pay the bar tab for $120, but you had to go to the ER the next day and spend $5,000 on surgery. Doesn't really balance out, does it? That's Fletcher.
Wow.
Didn't think that one through much, huh? So
No, he wasn't doing the math.
So you and Robbie have got to share a stage quite a few times.
Yeah, we've opened for Don quite a few times.
For years, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Jack always calls me Pops and I call him Son, and because, you know, same thing. You know, when Jack was starting his band back in the day, they actually weren't called Great White yet. They were called Dante Fox.
Right.
I heard him drag the drummer. I can't remember his name now, but the drummer in the band at the time, Gary Holland.
Gary Holland, yeah.
He had done my second German tour. I toured Germany in 79, I toured Germany in 80, and he came back, and then I went off my way, he went on his way, and he says, hey, I got this new band, I got this great singer, he sounds like Robert Plant, will you come out and check us out? And I remember going out to Orange County, and it's the typical garage with 4 layers of carpet out of a trash bin that smells like cat pee, and I've been there, done that. And so I checked him out and I liked him, and I took him in the studio again with Michael Wagner before he got to be like a mega famous producer. And Michael and I took him in the studio and produced their first album, Out of the Night. And I took that album to Enigma Records, got him a record deal. Again, I seem to get a lot of people record deals, never make any money. So I remember always saying, I don't understand the name Dante Fox. I just don't get it. But my nickname for Mark Kendall, because he was tall with blonde hair and he had very pale skin, and I'd known Mark since the 70s, and he had a band called Zizix. Great name for a band, Zizix. That is a name of a road on the way to Vegas.
Yeah, it was the first road inside in Nevada.
Yeah, Zizix. You can't even fucking, how the fuck do you spell Zizix? And that was Mark's band. We played some clubs together. And so I'd known Mark and I met Jack. And And I remember saying, I don't know if the whole devil fox, I'm not down with it, but that's up to you guys. And at the time, their first manager, Alan Niven, was living at my house with his wife, sleeping in my guest room. They were broke. So I was putting up Alan Niven and Ganella, and I produced them, got the record out, got it all done. But I always thought because Jack loved shark fishing, my nickname for Mark was Great White. And I said, I think Great White would be a great name, and Alan Nivens agreed. And right before the album came out, they changed it to Great White. Little nostalgia. Little nostalgia there.
Wow. That's incredible. So not only did you get XYZ, but really Great White owes you their name.
Yeah. It was just a suggestion. I just didn't like the name Dante Fox. I just didn't get it.
It doesn't make sense. I agree with that.
No. And they were a little kickback, pushing back a little bit. And I said, hey, I'm just here to produce you, man. I remember seeing the tapes when I was recording them, and all the tapes said Dante Fox on them. And I said, I don't think this thing's going to stick, man. But because Jack was an avid fisherman, and Jack loved to fish and catch, like I said, catch great whites. But really, from my memory, because my nickname for Mark was Great White. Because he's 6'1.5", and he had white hair, and I always called him the Big Great White. So they changed it, and the rest is history. And then, it's also like a tragic story, always just like Dokken. You get to a stadium level and you're playing 100,000 people, and your career's taken off, and you're selling millions of records, and everything's going great, and the band just can't seem to realize their blessings. Like, guys, we came from the Whiskey A Go-Go, playing with Van Halen. Now we're playing with Van Halen in a stadium. Why can't you guys why don't we all just kind of come together and stop fucking around and stop arguing and fighting and, and stop doing massive amounts of cocaine and kill yourself? And it was sad, And the same thing, with Great White, Jack had his problems and he had his issues, and I understand why the band went on, because they need to make a living, and Jack was trying to get his thing together spiritually and get his life under control, and Jack had health issues, and he needed a break, man. He needed a fucking break. And and in my mind, the boys should have taken a step back and taken a year off and let Jack focus and get his health together and get his life together and go on as Great White. But instead, as you know, they took Terry Luce, which was the worst choice in the world. Sorry, Terry. Terry Luce, look, he's a great singer, but he's not Jack Russell.
No.
Jack Russell is Jack Russell.
I agree.
Nobody sounds like Jack. Jack is like Robert Plant incarnation.
Right.
Every time I play with him, I just go, even my girlfriend, she goes, God, I love Jack's voice. See, I just love his voice.
He's got an amazing voice. Speaking of amazing voices, Don, we've got this young lady sitting behind us here. Her name is Morgan Miles. I think you can see her on your screen, can you?
Yep.
All right, so we're going to ask her, we're going to invite her out in to do a little bit of song.
Yeah, she's our musical guest for the show.
We'd like to hear some feedback from you when we get done. You good with that?
Yeah, I see the little thumbnails. I see a really beautiful looking girl up there with a white blouse on.
Yeah. So we're going to tune into her for just a moment. She's got a song called Sanctuary from the new album Therapy. And we all think she's fantastic and amazing, and I hope you do too. So we're going to check her out here. You ready?
I'm here.
All right, brother. I think we're ready for you to take it away.
Good job.
Wow.
Did you hear that over there? I'm not sure how the sound is going out, but
Not too good.
not too good. Yeah.
I will interject here, even when you guys talking, you guys do one of these again, you need to turn the compressor off the interface. Because when you talk softly, it gets louder. You talk louder, it gets softer. When she's singing, it goes loud and soft and loud and soft. There's a setting on Zoom on the microphone that says compression or limiter, and you gotta just turn those off. I learned that the hard way, because I've done a lot of these.
Compressor or limiter, huh?
Yeah, because you guys are going in and out and in and out. And
We're using a board. We're going out through a board and stuff like that. So that
once
might,
the board, do you have all the limiters and compressors turned off?
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh. Man,
I know she's peaked our mics a few times.
Peaked your mics.
He peaked, yeah. I'm just saying it. It's like I can hear you pretty good. Robbie, not so well. I need to get a good answer. I could hear her singing. It just was going up and down, up and down, up and down. Up and down.
Wow.
It's in the microphone settings. It's it says check mic, and then you go to properties or some shit, and you turn all the You're going through a console. Wow. Okay. Just an FYI.
Cool.
Kind of hard to hear you guys.
All right. Sorry about that. So Robbie's going to try to turn us up here real quick.
A little
But
better. It's phasing,
it's phasing.
Yeah, it's like gurgling and is my voice clear?
Yeah,
Real clear. Yep.
Yeah.
you sound great on our end.
Yeah, because I got all my shit turned off. All my limiters, compressors just off.
Well, the audience that's watching us live on Facebook right now came to hear you talk anyway, so not so much us. Maybe Morgan sing, but not Robbie and I.
Where does this young lady come from?
Morgan is out of Nashville, Tennessee, and she's super amazing. I've been a supporter of her for a few years now, and she's just incredible singer-songwriter, and we're super proud to have her out here.
Has she made a record?
Several.
Okay, good. Well, you should tell people the names of the record, what it's called, so they can get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the album's name is Therapy.
That's one.
They can't hear her talk right now because she doesn't have a live mic. Here.
He has to put a guitar down.
No, I'm going to let you talk to her for a moment.
Hey, Morgan, yeah, take your microphone and just put it up there in your mouth.
Go ahead and talk. Tell them what your album is and where they can get it. Wow. She's amazing. We're going to put her at Texas, so.
Good. Yeah, I can barely hear her. It's just inaudible.
Yeah, she sang at the AFC Championship game, sang the national anthem, at a bunch of different events. So she's been doing it. She's out there working it.
Good.
You know how it is more than anybody.
Grinding away.
Yep.
I wrote down the national anthem one time, and I swear to God, it was one of the most stressful things I've ever done. I will never do that again. Even my guys were having anxiety for me. I was literally trying to read the lyric. Oh, say, can you see? And I'm like, oh boy. And I'm thinking I'm going to blow the lines and screw it up. And I'm reading them in the limo on the way to the stadium. And my boys were in the car with me going, don't do it. You're going to screw it up. I was reading the lyrics and I did the national anthem. I pulled it off, did a good job, but I have to say I was really, really stressful thing to do the national anthem in front of a stadium. It freaked me out totally. I won't do it again.
Gillette Stadium.
Well, that song is a trick. The national anthem is a trick. You can start low and sing it, but then that last four verses, oh, say da 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 dee dee, So little light for the land of the. And then I'm like, oh my God, you know, my balls were tingling. It's too high. But
Get over your heart, man.
Oh,
They're singing the anthem.
yeah.
Come on.
What am I doing?
Don't disrespect the anthem, brother.
Oh, yeah.
And she's a girl.
Sing it, Don. You got the voice, brother.
I'm sure she could. She pulled it off great. I'm sure.
Absolutely. She's an amazing woman. Everybody's got an opinion of how it should be sung. Sometimes they carry on a little too long, and sometimes you miss the words, like I do several times. Come over.
Oh, come on. Oh.
We're blowing a kiss to the camera.
I don't like it when they have those chicks that are like R&B or like hip hop girls, and they go, "Oh, say, can you see?" They go, "Oh, say, can you see?" I'm like, what? I call them tickle chops. Sounds like somebody's tickling you, you know. And I'm like, man, they just destroy it. Okay, that's great that Mariah Carey could do all that shit, but it can be overdone. I remember the Mariah Carey albums, her last couple. She can't. It's just the melody is all over the map, and we like, okay, we know you have chops. We know you can do all these great minor scales, but every single line, it's annoying. It's just freaking annoying. You sing the Star Spangled, sing it like the guy wrote it, you know? And you know, I'm sure you've seen a million football and baseball, and when these girls go, I'm like, oh, shut up.
They do carry on quite a bit, don't they?
Yeah, it's a little, I mean, you know, throw some chops in, but, you know, maintain the integrity of the damn song the way it was written, you know, and it makes me crazy. I can't stand it. It's overdone. Everybody's doing all this overblown chops, and, you know, me, I'm a melodic singer. I just sing the melody. That's the melody. You know, I can do chops all freaking day long, but why?
Right?
Nobody can sing along to that, right? You know, it's just like.
No, you can't sing along to it. You think the whole audience is going, yeah. I'm like, are you kidding me?
So Don, our producer, has 3 questions from the audience for you. So we're going to bring her in real quick and let her ask some questions for the audience, if you don't mind.
Are those motorcycle fenders in the background?
They are, brother. We're in the Rock and Roll Custom Garage here, and I tell you what, man, this place is phenomenal.
I have a very, very rare Harley, which you would know what it is. It's like the holy grail of Harleys now. It's a 1990 FXR. They only made it 2 years and they discontinued it. It's
right.
Everybody wants an FXR now. If you can put a stroker 105 engine in it, and the way that crazy frame was designed, it can handle it. You know? So I have an FXR.
And there's actually a 1990 FXR sitting off. It's an FXR sitting off to our right here. We'll do a a swing around here and just
those are so
it's absolutely incredible.
Those are so rare with that crazy, they call it the wishbone frame, and that's a rare bike.
Yeah, Randy over here at Rock and Roll Garage is just phenomenal. The work they do here is insane, and then we'll pan around with the camera here in just a few minutes. Dub, you got some questions for Don Dokken, man. Come on, you got to bring it. What do they got for him?
We can't hear her.
Dub,
we can't hear you.
Turn your mic.
Okay, it was a technical thing. Fine. I have 3 questions for you, Don. The first one is about one of my favorite things, the Dream Warrior video, and what you remember the most about making it.
2 things. One is innocent, one is not so innocent. You know, Patricia Arquette was her first movie she ever made.
Yes.
I think she was like 18. but she was already endowed with very large breasts. So we're on a film set out in Simi Valley, and it's about 40 on the set. I don't know how far I want to go with this. So when you're a woman with no bra on and it gets cold, you know what happens, right?
I understand this. Yes, yes.
Okay. So we're filming and filming and filming, and the guy's doing it. And I said, I don't know if you're going to get this on MTV because all I see is eraser heads. I said, you need to get some tape and tape her up a little bit. I couldn't even concentrate. Her nipples were just sticking through that little white shirt, that little tank top. And the colder it got, the bigger they got. And I was like, you might want to get your makeup girl to put some tape over those puppies. And
a Band-Aid or something.
Do something, man. They're big. And so I said, okay. So we stopped and we had to take a break while he ran back the videotape of the 2 takes we'd done. And he said, oh shit, you're right. It's all. You're right, Don. I said, look, I'm a guy. I'm a guy. I know this shit. And he's like, you're right. It's all nipples.
I'm never gonna look at that video the same. I would like to personally thank you.
So that was the bad part of the video. The funny part of the video was poor Robert England had to have his burnt face on for 10 hours. And then it turned out it was 4 panels. There was a left panel, a right panel, 4 panels they glued together for his burned up face. He didn't eat all day because it's always prosthetic makeup. And I remember we finally took a break and we're eating some pizzas, and he was eating with us, and then one of the panels was kind of started falling off, hanging down flesh. And I said, Robert, your face is falling off. And he's like, what? I go, yeah, your face is hanging down. And he's like, oh shit, I'll go fix that. But I just remember it looked funny because he didn't notice. So he's eating a pizza and it looks like a piece of pizza's hanging off his face, And I just thought that was the funniest thing, Robert England was a really nice guy. But we had to go to the movie had been done, and all the props and the hell and the caves and the house with her going and building a little Dokken house and all that, laying in bed. We had to recreate all that in a big sound stage. It was a big production. That was the first song in my career that somebody dictated what the song was called.
Yowzer.
We didn't name it Dream Warriors. They'd already decided the movie's going to be Dream Warriors. That's the name of the movie. You have to write a song called Dream Warriors. This is the title, which I'm not used to doing. So I said, well, can you at least give me a rough cut of the movie? Because I didn't really know what it was about. That Robert came in their dreams and the kids are sleeping and Freddie shows up in their dreams. I didn't know. So they gave me a rough cut of the movie, and I realized the movie's about him showing up in their dreams. It wasn't like a guy coming to their house. So I came up the line, I lie awake and dread the lonely nights, not alone. I wonder if these hungry eyes can face the unknown. When I close my eyes, I realize you'll come my way. So that's how I came up with those lyrics, by watching a rough cut of the movie.
That is so awesome. I only have 2 more questions for you.
Wow.
The first one is, what has quarantine taught you about you? And the second one is, if you could have a conversation with your 20-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Well, the COVID thing's been a nightmare. I mean, I'm lucky that I live where I'd never catch it. I live up in a mountain on 13 acres and no neighbors. And I go to town once a week. But I'm looking out my windows in the studio right now, and all you see is trees. So the COVID thing, if anything, taught all of us that the world is uncertain. Things happen, and it's not just the COVID. The COVID hit, then we had the Floyd protests, George Floyd, and then tens of thousands of people are marching with no masks, and then the COVID spikes, and then, I got a good reality check about how bad COVID is last week when my good friend Mickey D, who's now in the Scorpions and who was Motorhead for 20 years, and before the Scorpions, he was in Dokken. So we're really, really good friends. He lives in Sweden. And he said, you know, we were being very careful, social distancing, no meet and greets, no handshakes, no autographs. And they were all being very careful. They went to Australia to end of the leg of the tour. And Mickey said, me and Mia, his wife, they all went out to dinner after the show as a end of tour dinner with the band and about 8 other people like crew and the managers or whatever, the promoter. They have a big dinner and they both caught COVID.
Yikes.
You would think like one dinner. And Mickey said, look, I didn't even talk to anybody for the whole tour. I had one dinner with 8 or 9 people. And he said about a week later, Mia and I were burning up on fire, 104 temperature. Mickey lost 35 pounds in a month.
Oh my
He
goodness.
lost 35 pounds. He couldn't eat. He said, I was on the floor. He said, I just wanted to lay on the floor because it was cool. I couldn't even lay in bed. I just hurt so bad. And it felt like an elephant was standing on my chest. I couldn't breathe. They went to the hospital. They didn't let him in because it was too crowded. They gave him oxygen tanks to go home. And he says, I'm telling you, Don, you don't want to get this. It's really, really bad. So I got a good reality check to actually talk to somebody that's had Corona. And Mickey D said it was awful. His wife and him he said it was just awful. Took him a month to recuperate.
Okay.
So I got that. I'm nervous now. I'm going on tour in 3 weeks.
Understandably so.
I got 7 flights. I got to play in front of 4,000 people. I'm like, am I crazy for doing this? So I'm going to take my chances and I'm going to hope for the best, fingers crossed. And so the COVID thing, you know, it's just, to me, it's good for writing lyrics on the new album because the whole world seems to going to hell in a handbasket.
Mm-hmm.
And the government, dysfunctional government, and the protesters, and the COVID, and the economy. I'm like, man, what the hell is going on, you know?
Yeah.
And I have my own opinions. I won't get into politics because you have your Trump supporters and then you have your Democrats, and I don't get into that. I got my own opinions on that. But it's just been a strange year, but I'm writing lyrics about it. You know, I wrote a song the other night called Hail to the King.
Nice.
It's a kind of a tongue-in-cheek about somebody at the top of the chain who's thinks he's a king and not accountable. So things like that, you know, you get inspiration from strange things like COVID and this and that. Where I'm at, we only have 5,000 cases in the whole state. But anyway, it's been a strange year, you know, and I don't know what to do. I'm just here and making music. It's all I can do. All us musicians can do is everybody I know from Whitesnake to Scorpions to Iron Maiden, everybody's writing songs over the internet. That's the new medium. You write over the internet.
Yeah.
You get on screen and, okay, John, play me a riff. He plays me a riff and I go, oh, that's cool. But okay, right there, go to a bridge section and go down to B flat. And he does it. And then my drummer's there and he's, okay, give me a minute. And he does a drum beat. And it's been an interesting way of recording. The biggest problem with COVID is boredom.
Totally.
Boredom.
Yeah.
If you're in a relationship or married and you're locked down, it's a test.
Oh yeah.
You know, you got to put all the knives away, hide the guns, you know, take the butcher. You know, my girlfriend goes, what happened to all the butcher knives? I go, oh, yeah. I put them away.
The Salvation Army was doing a drive and I gave them all to them when they came by.
Yeah. No sharp objects allowed in the house. That's about it on the COVID thing.
Right on. Thank you so much, Doug.
Bye, Don. Thank you.
20-year-old telling your 20-year-old. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
Say that again there, Robbie.
The other part, can you hear me, Don? Yeah,
Yeah,
the other part was the what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
oh, that was the other question. Oh boy, Robbie, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. And lucky for me, when I was 20, I really didn't have a music career. You know, I didn't start playing the whiskey and the Starwood and all that till I was about 24, 5, playing the bars. I remember Mick Mars lived a block from me, and Mick Mars had this band called, can't remember right now. He had a band, like a cover band, and he'd call me up. They did 5 sets a night, and he'd call me up. I was a cook, and I'd cook till 10, 11 o'clock at night. And Mick Mars would call me and say, Don, can you come down to the club and do the last set? Because I'm toast. So I would go down and do the quote unquote Deep Purple set because I knew all the Deep Purple songs. But, you know, in your 20s, it's a learning curve. You're stupid. You know, you're just out of college and you don't know where you're going. I don't know what I wanted to do. I was working 3 days a week as a cook. The other 3 days, I was working at this place called One Day Paint and Body, doing body work with Bondo. And I remember I always laugh. I go to the clubs at night. I'd blow my nose and be like blue or red or orange. So I knew what car I'd painted that day. You know?
Right.
But it was, you know, when you're 20, I wish I had the spiritual knowledge and the spiritual awareness of where my life is now at 20, but you can't. We all grow slowly or we don't. I know people that are still 20 and they're 60. You know, they're just stuck. But the answer to the question is that if I was 20, I would wished that I had the spiritual knowledge and the experience of what I have now and injected that into my life at 20. And I'm pretty sure my life between 20 and 27 would have been a lot less rough.
That's a good answer. I have to ask you about Airborne. Do you remember Airborne? Your
Yeah,
band Airborne?
that was the band before Dokken.
Yeah, well, so maybe give us some insight to that. I imagine a lot of people don't know anything about it, possibly.
Yeah, that was my very first record I ever made. It was a 45, 7-inch. And I used to hang out at this music store in Manhattan Beach, and it was owned by this guy named Drake Levin. And he was the guitar player in a very famous 60s band called Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Oh, wow.
Cherokee Nation and all that stuff. So I'd hang out, and he had all these like 59 Les Pauls and a 64 Rickenbacker and a, you know, like just all collectibles. So I would go in there and play, and he said, you know, I think you're a really good guitar player. Would you like to make a record? And I said, well, I'd love to make a record. I don't know how to make a record. I'm working on my little 4-track TAC right now. So he took me in the studio. The band was called Airborne. The original lineup was Bobby Blotzer, me, who else? Greg, Stephen Barry was the bass player. And we went in the studio and we recorded these 2 songs, Hard Rock Woman and Broken Heart. But right in the middle of it, a band got signed to Arista called Airborne. And I went, shit. So we couldn't call it Airborne anymore. So I said, well, you know, you got Van Halen out the strip and you got this and that. Let's just call it Dokken because my name is unusual and it rhymes with rockin'. But I had no intentions of ever calling the band Dokken. It was going to be Airborne. But then when the record company signed this band and they had kind of a mild hit, I couldn't call the band Airborne anymore. So at the last second, when I did the 45, I just put Dokken on it, you know? And that's how the Airborne, when we played the whiskey, and I have a flyer in my scrapbook that says Van Halen, somebody Airborne, you know? We warmed up for Van Halen as Airborne. And I think we did 2 shows at the Starwood. It was right after Randy Rhoads had joined Ozzy, and he was doing his farewell shows in Quiet Riot. and we did 2 nights sold out at the Starwood, and I have that flyer, and it says Quiet Riot, Airborne, and the Weasels, which was a punk band, which I ended up just making a record with them, and I'm putting it out in a couple of months. So yeah, it was that's how Airborne was around. I played a show with Journey and
How did that fit into the?
What?
I didn't quite catch it. What did you say?
I said I did my first big show with opening for Journey, Y&T, and us, and we were still called Airborne.
Oh wow, no kidding.
That was my last show I did as Airborne with Journey and Y&T.
Called yesterday and today at that time, or was it actually?
Yeah, they were yesterday and today.
Yeah.
And I was so starstruck because there was only one dressing room. So this club was down at the beach by the marina. It was a big club called the Fleetwood, 1,000-seater. And the promoter hired 2 motorhomes, and Journey had 1 motorhome, and we had to share a motorhome with Y&T, or yesterday and today. And I'd already bought their 8-track, and me and Blotzer used to go on my 240Z and just listen to Y&T all over and over and over. So when I met Leonard and Joey and Phil and Dave, I was in awe. I was like a groupie. I'm in a dressing room with yesterday and today. And of course, everybody knows Leonard Hayes was a crazy man. You know, so it was a really fond memory of hanging out in our dress room together with yesterday and today. And, you know, and now you fast forward 40 years later, last year, I played with Y&T at the Fillmore East, and I opened up for him acoustically. And Leonard was there, Joey was there. Unfortunately, I loved him so much. Phil Kennemore had passed away from cancer. So he had mostly original members. And I did that show with him at the Fillmore East. And 6 months later, Joey passed away. Everybody passed away. So there's no original. The only guy left is Dave, you know. Joey's gone and Bill's gone and, you know, Leonard's gone. And so it's heartbreaking when you love somebody and these people you loved and respected. I remember we used to go to the Whiskey, and I always said Y&T was the only band I ever stood in line for. Me and Bobby Blotzer go to the Whiskey and stand in fucking line for an hour to see Y&T.
I've done the same thing for those guys. I mean, those guys, yeah, the first time we discovered them was seeing their record in a record store and going, holy, these guys look like they rock. And they did, 25 hours a day. And I mean,
Oh my God.
I mean,
another interesting story about me getting bands signed is they got kicked off A&M. And I was starting to get famous. And I went to John Kolodner and I said, you know, this band Y&T, man, they're so amazing. They put out Black Tiger. That album should have went triple platinum. As you know, Y&T was a cult following in the Bay Area, Oakland, San Francisco, a little bit of LA. They never broke out in Europe very much. And I went to John David Kolodner, who was my guy, and I said, man, you really need to sign Y&T. And he's like, well, I don't know what's going on with these guys. And I'm like, look, John, this band is amazing. They just got kicked off in A&M. You need to grab them up. And Dave will own that. He knows I helped him get a deal. So I called Dave Manichetti and took all the records to Kolodner. He played them, Black Tiger and all those other ones. And I told I set up a meeting with Manichetti and Phil Kennemore with Kolodner, and he signed them. So, you know, I'm all about paying it forward. You know, all these other guys go, I want 4 points. I want money. I believe if you help like, you know, XYZ or anybody or Y&T, if I help somebody through my quote unquote power at the time, because I was getting famous, if I can help somebody get their career going and all that, it's all karma. It's just karma, man. But I was disappointed with Kolodner. because when they, Y&T's a rock band. They're a hard, kick-ass rock band. And their first video came out on Geffen, Summertime Girls. And they're running around the beach like the monkeys. And they're rolling around the sand, and Leonard with his shorts. And I'm like, oh no, what the fuck? I go,
You ever
this,
done that, Robbie?
I mean, that video, the song was okay.
It was a big departure.
Claude tried to send him into the pop world. And I'm like, I said, John, you need to go back and listen to the first album and Black Tiger. And this is not what they are. They're an in-your-face rock band. They don't want to sing Summertime Girls. I knew I met you, Daddy. And automatic, my fingers start going like this. Summertime. I'm like, oh God, this is a huge mistake. You got to do the fingers, yeah.
We were joining in with you there, brother.
And I was
loving dance moves, man.
I was very, very disappointed. And I thought, this is going to be the nail in the coffin of this record, of this band. But I played with them, last couple of years in Europe and Japan, and they still play Summertime Girls. Everybody loves it, but the video was terrible. They're running around the beach in their shorts, and they're climbing up on, like the monkeys. It was just terrible. They should have done a live performance, kick-ass song, live on stage with Dave, man, banging his head. They should have went full-blown rock. Instead, you got 4 guys running around in bathing suits on the beach. I'm like, oh my God, this is the fucking worst thing you could do. That's my opinion.
Did you start singing Who Wears Short Shorts?
Oh my God. Yeah. You wear short shorts, I wear short shorts. But anyway, we're still friends, and I'll always love Y&T, and I just played with them a year ago up in the Bay Area, but we're a family. I miss Joey, the guitar player. I really miss Phil Kennemore. I mean, we were really tight. I miss Leonard. He was one of the greatest drummers of all time.
Absolutely.
I got a great story about Y&T. Is they're playing at the Celebrity Theater, I think out in Anaheim somewhere. And I went to see them, and that was when I was collecting cars. And I had a 62 Rolls Royce Silver Cloud. You know what that is?
Yes.
Big old Rolls Royce, big ass headlights, 17 feet long, It was silver and black. And Phil says, yeah, man, come on, bring your Rolls Royce, bring the black one, the silver one. Okay. So I come out and I drive out my big ass Rolls Royce, 1962, park it behind the stage. We're all hanging out after the show. And Phil goes, I want to go back to the hotel. Let's go pick up some Jack Daniels and Cokes, and we'll go to the hotel. I said, all right, let's go get some Jack and Coke. It's like 12:30 tonight, and we're in Anaheim. So I don't know where in the hell I am. So we start driving around, and Phil was known. He's always got the gold chains, he's got rings and bracelets, he's got his leather pants on, his boots. He looks like a rock star. I think I had leathers on too. We hop in the Rolls Royce, and we're just driving around looking for a liquor store. And we find this liquor store in a really, really bad neighborhood. And I remember all these people standing out front, drinking their Colt 45. And here comes these 2 long-haired rock dudes with jewelry and leathers climbing out of a 62 Rolls Royce. And these guys are going like, what the fuck? And I remember saying to Phil, I go, I don't know if we want to go in there. We're going to get mugged. And, Phil's, of course, Phil, he's like, yeah, no problem, man. And I'm like, I don't even want to leave the car. They're going to steal the damn car. So we went in, got our Jack, and came out, got our Coke and Coca-Cola. But I remember all these Bloods, Crips, and it was all gangsters, man. It was Crips and Bloods, and they're like, hey, man, what kind of car is that? That's a Rolls Royce. I like that car. I'm like, thank you. And the guy said, "Oh, I really like that car." And I'm thinking, "Oh shit." I said, "Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. We got to go now." "No, man, you don't get it, man. You don't get it, man. I like that car." I'm like, "We got to go." We just jumped and took off. You know? That was one of my crazy memories with Phil Kennemore, man. Fun shit.
That'd have been nerve-wracking to say the least. Well, Don, I hate to do this, brother, because I'm having a blast talking to you, but we're just about out of time on our link.
No worries. And hi, pretty girl. Good luck with your career, Morgan.
Oh, thank you so much. I enjoyed talking to you.
I wish you the best.
Thank you, I'll need it.
Positive. And, you know, my motto for life, really, honestly, without bullshitting, is nothing is impossible. Nothing.
What?
Nothing is impossible.
Nothing's impossible.
Thank you. I need to hear that.
In your career, love, your home, your health, I will never, ever believe that nothing is impossible. When people say you can't do that, it's impossible, I go, I don't want to talk to you. That's negative, and shut up. Nothing is impossible. Just remember that.
I love that.
All right, guys, signing off.
You're my kind of guy.
Thank you so much, brother. We appreciate you very much, man.
Take care.
That was good. See you, Don.
You do. So,
So,
Don
that
Dokken.
was cool, but I have to say, hey, where are we? Hey, I'm going to say happy birthday to Drake. It's his birthday. He's 27 today. We're going to have Drake do a shot, but he can't, so.
Oh, I'm going to do several shots.
Oh, you're
Trust
going to
me.
need to.
Brother, I'm going to get lit.
There you are.
You know what? I think Morgan ought to sing us out a little bit before we go. What do you think?
Wait, what's your
Just a
happy
little-
birthday?
Just a little, yeah.
Oh,
Do,
say,
do, you,
happy
do
birthday.
you want the Marilyn Monroe version or
Yes,
the
yes.
Office or the
I think
Office
so.
version?
I think we
They're
want the
two
Mary-
wildly different.
Yes.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday to you. That was Marilyn. Happy birthday, Patrick. Happy birthday to you. No, the Office version, he goes real high, you know. Michael Scott, come on, you
You
gotta watch The Office.
We gotta watch The Office. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in tonight. It's 103.5 Jack FM. It's the Hangout Live. It's Robbie Lochner
It is.
from Jack Russell's Great White Legendary Rock Guitars. We're gonna keep doing this every week. We got Morgan Miles. We're gonna have to fly her out every week.
Every week.
Okay.
Wait a minute, I paid. Oh, what was I thinking? All
But
right,
today's Saturday. We'll be back on the Monday schedule for the time being.
that's
Hold
it.
the mic so they can
I don't want to talk into the microphone. It makes me nervous. So it'll
It
be,
makes them bashful.
yeah, well, it makes me jealous. But anyway, so we'll be back Monday night at 8 o'clock Pacific, or no, 8 o'clock Central.
Central.
I'm all turned around out here now in California. I almost said LA, but I got schooled on that the other day, so I won't do that again. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We love each and every one of you. Have a safe week, and we'll see you next time.